Vito's 32 back again. Time for another Kickstarter sort of Hall of Fame. It might seem a little bit weird to be including this in Kickstarter Hall of Fame, but it's Deckstarter. Deckstarter is joining the Hall of Fame, and I guess you can throw in the Bucks along with that because they run it. The reasons why I'm throwing Deckstarter under the bus and throwing it into, if you will, under the bus and throwing it into the Hall of Fame is just because it's horribly mismanaged and it's just ridiculous. Almost all of the projects that they have had, if not all of them, probably would not have funded if it wasn't for some anonymous and even not anonymous backing. Some of it from the Bucks. Oftentimes you can go look on the projects. You'll see Dan Buck, Dave Buck, Justin Buck, all backing projects on their own website. Completely unethical to do that, to back projects on your own website just so they succeed. Part of the reason might be because they were already paid to get them produced for USPC and they had to fund. That to me is even worse. They should not be going to produce decks that they don't know are going to fund or not. But almost all, if not all, of their 5 or 6 projects, whatever it was, have that issue. With the Bucks going in there and throwing thousands of dollars to save a project. And you'll see it as well. You look at projects, the projects barely doing anything, and it doesn't look like it's going to fund, and then all of a sudden there's a small spike towards the funding goal at the very end. It's not suspicious at all, is it? But like I said, it's completely unethical and is against the North American Crowdfunding Association rules and guidelines. It'd be the same thing as a creator on Kickstarter or even the owners of Kickstarter throwing money behind projects just to make sure they fund so that they can collect money. And that would be something that would be unethical for Kickstarter to do. Another problem I have with Deckstarter is a complete lack of updates on projects. Where the hell are the creators? They just F off, they just take off, they don't, pardon my language, but I mean they just completely disappear. They don't post any updates, they don't thank backers for funding, they don't do nothing. There's no updates, there's a lack of responses. Now there's actually some responses on comments, but it's just ridiculous. Another problem is it is very difficult, almost impossible, to cancel a pledge, and especially also to change a pledge, especially originally how they were doing it, which was through WordPress, which is completely ridiculous. Who the hell runs a crowdfunding website through WordPress? That is just ridiculous. I mean, isn't that for blogs and stuff like that? It doesn't make sense to me. And they did that for the first couple of projects. It was ridiculous. It's better now that they're going through Tilt, but still, I don't see any way to go into my account and cancel a pledge or change it or modify or anything. That's the same thing, change and modify. But you know, there's no way to do that. You have to actually contact them and hope that they actually respond in order to cancel something or change something. In my opinion, I consider Deckstarter a failure. Especially consider the fact that they have to actually put money into projects to make sure they succeed, because they're not that good and nobody pledges for it for the most part. And just the fact that they have so much trouble getting projects funded is ridiculous. On top of that, the last couple of projects, at the very least the last couple, the Alice of Wonderland and the Revelation playing cards, have been very delayed. Finally, the Revelation playing cards are shipping right now. I should get them in the next couple of weeks, but they should have been here a long time ago. The Alice of Wonderland deck was supposed to be fulfilled months ago. and it never happened. I saw a comment from, I guess it might have been Justin Buck, I'm not sure, saying that, or the creator, one of them saying that it was going to be fulfilled in December. Well, that didn't happen. And then there was talk about January. That still didn't happen. There is not that many delays with the USB-C. There might have been some through the holidays, but I mean, people need to stop putting all the blame on USB-C. Personally, I have no plans on backing anything else through Deckstarter unless it is very, very good, which so far I have had to have anything on Deckstarter that is good, or very, very good for that matter. Most of it's been kind of lackluster, except for maybe Revelation. It's not bad. That's the only good deck that they've had on there is Revelation. And my opinion might change once I see the deck in my hands. Personally, I recommend the creators, if they really want to get decks of cards produced, go on Deckstarter, or on Kickstarter, sorry, and do it. And personally, if Dan and Dave or Justin Buck, whoever the hell is running that Deckstarter, wants something to be more, want this project to be more successful, they should do the same thing. You got creators, design companies that want to produce decks of cards. And you put them on Deckstarter, nobody cares. And they're not that good. Well, why not take that same deck of cards? The Bucks can still manage the project, but they'll manage it through Kickstarter. It seems like a win-win situation for me, but either way, Deckstarter for me is dead. It hasn't had any updates, any new decks in a long time. Nothing this year so far. And the last two projects, like I said, just taking forever to fulfill. Now, it's not Kickstarter, but it's basically Kickstarter Lite, so I decided to include it. Some might be wondering why I haven't lumped Card Launcher in there, or why I don't include Card Launcher in the Hall of Fame. I will not. I could include Card Launcher, but Card Launcher was a failure. It was a good idea, though. It just didn't have enough people on it, enough promotion outside of United Cards for it. It wasn't even promoted on a playing card forum that I know of. And all the creators, there was no promotion by the creators on their Kickstarter projects to get more people over there. If you didn't know about the projects from United Cards or Facebook, you wouldn't know they were there. So that was the biggest problem. On paper, it was an excellent idea. It could have done better. It just had a very small market and just didn't do well. But they didn't have, any issues. There was no issue with fulfillment of the Canadiana deck, the one deck that was successful on it. There was no issues with updates. There was updates on most of the projects on, a regular basis. There was updates from, Mike Ratledge as well, who was the owner. There was a lot of thought and effort that went into it. And it had good decks. It was a good plan, a good idea, it just didn't work. Deckstarter is an awful plan. Or maybe it didn't seem like an awful plan. Maybe it's not an awful plan, but it's not working, and they haven't given up on it for some reason. And I don't know, it's just highly unethical what's going on there, and ridiculous. Anyways, that is that. Deckstarter and the Kickstarter Hall of Fame, because it's crap. See you next time.